Hey guys, welcome back to the game room. Today we're going to talk about the crazy system I've developed to help me play through all the games back here. It's been evolving and growing over the last 10 to 12 years. Man, that's a long time. It's kind of embarrassing to say. But it's very complicated. I don't really know where to start. It's kind of like explaining to someone who's never seen the sport how to play baseball. Where do you even begin? What's the basis for it if you have nothing to relate it to? But I'll do my best. I've enjoyed it a lot. It's helped me explore a lot of different avenues and different games I wouldn't have normally played because it forces me to play things outside of my comfort zone. So I've really enjoyed it, and it's led me to find some of my favorite games that, like I said, I never would have tried before. So keep watching. Maybe it'll help you. Maybe you'll enjoy it. Maybe you're one of those crazy people that likes looking at a spreadsheet, because I guess that's what we're about to do. So go ahead and roll the title and let's get to it. Let's see if I can make this make sense. What you're seeing here is my wish list. Over here on the right are all the games that are coming out that I'm interested in. And when one of those is released, if I'm still interested in it, I sort it into one of these columns of high priority, low priority, on the fence. Obviously, you can figure out what those mean. These are games I'm definitely going to get. These, I'm waiting till they're cheap or they're a good deal or I come across them, in a trade or something. And on the fence is something that I may or may not get. I'm kind of trying to decide if I want to spend my time on it. And then over here we have the retro games that are sorted the same way, except this time I kind of try to keep track of the market price. It's fluctuating a lot, so you can take these with a grain of salt. Some of these prices are probably very low now with the rising rates of everything. But anyway, once a game's added to this wish list, if I pick it up, being it through a trade or I just straight out purchase it, I add it to my backlog. Here's the backlog. This is a lot of information here. It's split into really 4 different categories: modern games, PS4, and I guess the Switch and the Xbox One, and newer portable stuff, which is really anything portable, and then retro, and then co-op games that I play with my wife or my daughter or friends. They're sort of set aside for that. Anyway, when a game is added from the wish list, it's put in the appropriate column in chronological order. So it goes towards the bottom. So let's say I pick up a new game, it'll go at the bottom of this list. And the only exception is if it's specifically on the wish list, I will add it kind of above this little black bar here, or as you can see, above this black bar here. And because there are games I actually want, they are higher priority. So I want them towards the top of the list. Everything else below this, below those black bars, are games that I've picked up randomly through trades or whatever that I might want to play, but they weren't on the wish list. And then up here we have the games I'm currently playing. As you can see here, games I'm playing co-op. Perpetual games are special games that maybe I play with a friend, or games that I play over several years, like The Binding of Isaac or something, that just kind of stay here forever. So what happens, let's say I finished Lightning Force. The game is done. I've knocked it off the backlog, and it's time to pick a new game. I will see how many games are in the retro list, starting at number 11, all the way down to, oh my goodness, what do we have here? 1,027. So I'll come here to random.org and I'll do 11 through 1027. Generate a number. Ooh, number 71. So, sorry. We would go to number 71 on the list. Boom. Ooh, Dodonpachi. That would be the next game I would play. And so I would move it up to here. And then in the empty spot, you can see here these little asterisks. I would add asterisks to those spots. And I'll get to what those mean in a minute. That's the basic system. There are a few little caveats to it that make it more interesting, and I have added to this and made it more complicated over the years. These are basically the backlog. This is not for all of eternity. This is, since I've been keeping track of this spreadsheet, I finished 521.516 games. I've bought 1,756, so I've got 1,234 in the backlog. And then here, October is horror month. So during October, I tend to play horror games, which means that I'll go through the list and I'll pick out the games that are horror-based that have been on the list the longest, and I'll try to play through those. So horror games tend to come up pretty often. We won't worry about what this means here. This is for something I'm doing for someone else. It doesn't really matter. And so let's talk about the important little asterisk mechanics here and what all this sort of stuff means. So the games that are more important, like I said, that are on the wish list, tend to be towards the top of the list. And as games stay on the list longer and they work their way towards the top, they have a higher chance or higher probability of getting selected. And the reason for that is whenever I play a game, like I said, I add these asterisks here. If on the random number generator, let's say I were to roll number 13, and it's an asterisk, I clear all the asterisks off that list, and I play the number one game on the list. So over time, as I finish more and more games, let's say on the modern list, the chances of me playing Fallout 4 increase greatly. And eventually it'll get picked. Very nice. Also, these are the number of games in each category I've finished recently. I finished in this cycle 8 games in the modern list, 5 in the portable list, and 4 in the retro list. If this number is on a 2, a 5, or a 8, I only roll for games above the black box, meaning I would only, on the modern list, roll 11 through 174. That way, I am spending at least a third of my time playing games that I want to play as opposed to games that I randomly pick up, which kind of helps. Not to mention when I knock them off, games towards the top are going to get picked more often. These little asterisks here, every time I finish 10 games, you earn, I call these a gold star. You earn a gold star. I can spend a gold star at any point to play any game off that list I want. It's a pick and choose. That way I can reward myself for finishing a lot of games. So let's say I really want to play Odin Sphere. I could burn one of these asterisks here to just pick it as my next game. That way you're not stuck in a cycle of playing games for years and years without coming across anything you're really interested in. So it's not completely random, it's mostly random. And you can see I can bank these asterisks. And as you can see in the retro column here, I have, it looks 10 asterisks. I finished 100 games, retro games, without picking one. I'm totally fine just letting it come along as it, the random number generator dictates. So that's the basic sort of system. There are other little caveats here. Every 35 games I finish, I go through and I pick a game I've already played that's a favorite of mine. Castlevania Symphony of the Night, Metroid, something like that, just to go back and relive the great games. And so I'm not playing just brand new games all the time. It is good to play the other games you have in your backlog. So that's the the general gist of how it works. So let's do like a practice roll, a couple practice rolls, so you can see how things would go. Let's say I finished a modern game. Let's say I finished Walking Dead, and so it's time to roll 11 through, let's see, 174. Why 174 as opposed to the full list? Well, because I'm on an 8 here, and on 2 5s and 8s, I roll above the black box. So we'll go to random.org. We'll go 11 through, 174? And I'll roll 73. Sorry, I keep doing that. We'll go to 73. Sweet. S&K 40th Anniversary Collection. It would go over here into this this column. It's a Switch game. Switch games are a little strange. They can fall into the portable or the modern list. We won't worry about how that happens. But that's sort of another little caveat there. Like I said, the system gets more and more complicated. Let's pretend, though, that I landed on number 44. That was the number that was randomly rolled. So pretend this is a 44. Well, what would happen there is I would go to the number 1 game on the list, Fallout 4, and all of these asterisks here, every single one of them on this list, I would just delete those spaces. There's probably, I don't know, 30 or 40 on this list. So what that would mean was that Darius Burst would become the new top dog on the list. And over time, as I finished more and more games, the chances of me playing Darius Burst are increased greatly. Now, that being said, there are so many games in this backlog, it still takes a long time to even work through these. Fallout 4 was added to this list when it came out new. Same with Darius Burst. All of these games were put on the list brand new when I picked them up, and I'm just now getting to them. On the retro games, Beyond Two Souls on the PS3, I bought brand new back when the PS3 was in the modern column, and it has migrated its way over to retro as the years have passed. But that's totally fine with me. I don't mind it too much. I'm just along for the ride, kind of like you guys are if you're still sticking with me watching this. And any games that I'm really gung-ho about playing, like I said, I can burn one of these asterisks to play it. For example, Elden Ring. I was really looking forward to that. I picked up a PS5. I wanted to play a PS5 game, so I burned one of my asterisks to play Elden Ring. And I surely enjoyed that. Like I said, you can't just blow through them. You have to finish 10 games to earn one of these. So that can be a real good amount of effort to go through with that. Some of the other interesting things about this, the on-hold games. These are games that, for some reason, are not in here. Sometimes it's because, like example, Xenosaga Episode 2 and 3. I have all 3 of the Xenosaga games. I haven't played Part 1 since I was in college. So I want to finish Part 1. When I finish Part 1, I'll add Episode 2 into the backlog. And then when I finish that, I'll add Episode 3 into the backlog. That way I'm not playing them out of order. I don't randomly select Episode 3 before playing Episode 2 or so. In defective games, these are games that for some reason, like I need a Windows 98 PC to work, or I need to download the GOG version of the game or something. I haven't gotten around to it. Or this game just is straight up defective. It doesn't play. I'm just waiting to find another copy somewhere. Or in the case of this game, it can't be played anymore. It's a cool game. It's technically in the backlog, but because this game required the player to sign into the server that the developers created, and that server no longer exists, this game is no longer playable, which is kind of sad. That seems like the way a lot of modern games are going these days, which is why I tend to stick to only physical games. And the co-op, these are just, if someone says they want to play a game with me, then I'll add it to this list. Maybe I'll move it from over there into this. If they have no interest in playing it and I want to play it by myself, it'll go over here. As you can see, I've been playing It Takes Two with my wife for over a year. It's a pretty short game, but we have a new baby, and it's kind of it's hard to find time for both of us to sit down and play together. But I'm looking forward to finishing that up. And sorry to give you guys some spoilers about some of the games that are coming up that I'm going to review. You don't know what I'm going to say about these games, so I guess that's okay. But if you have any more questions, let me know. I know it's a very complicated system, and it's kind of hard to explain it. It has been developed over, many years, probably 10 or 12 years I've been using this system. And the reason for it, as I may have mentioned earlier, was that I used to just play whatever game I felt like. And I would just play the same games over and over and over again, and this backlog would build up and build up and build up. As you can see, it built up past 1,000 games. And so I implemented this system to take away the choice from me, to force me to play games that are outside of my comfort zone or things that I wouldn't have normally tried. And honestly, some of my favorite games I've played are games that I never would have picked out for myself, and they just happened to be picked for me using this system. You know, a lot of these games are not things that really suit my tastes or what I didn't think were my tastes. And it's really made me a more well-versed and less picky gamer. There are genres I'm not a big fan of, but I try to challenge myself and play everything I can. And so you can see there's some good stuff on here. There's some games I'm really looking forward to that I picked up a while ago, Rule of Rose. And so I can't wait for those. Like I said, I could burn one of these at any point to try it, but I'm not sure if I want to do that yet. That being said, also, I have a limit of 10 maximum of these. So coming up here, 6 more games, I've got to pick something fun to play, something of my choice. I don't know what it's going to be yet, but I think the randomness of all of this is almost as fun as playing the games themselves. It's kind of like gambling. You never know what's going to come up. So anyway, I thank you guys for listening to me ramble through this. I know it's long-winded and probably not super exciting, but I appreciate your patience. And if you like this system, let me know. And feel free to click the like button, leave a comment, subscribe, all those sort of things. Help me grow this channel, and hopefully I won't have to explain this again. But thank you so much. Take it easy. Catch you next time.